Hey witches, welcome to Busy, Gritty, Inked and Witchy, a magical living podcast for the busy witch. I'm Morgan, eclectic witch of almost 25 years, Avalon priestess, and busy witch. Here we'll talk all things witchy, from current metaphysical happenings to my busy witch tips and tricks, and everything in the in-between. This podcast is my personal journey, filled with my knowledge, opinions, and unique way of looking at the world. Join me as I weave the magical and the mundane in every episode. Hey witches, welcome back to Busy, Gritty, Inked and Witchy. I'm Morgan, and this week I am talking about my witchy home. This week's episode was inspired by, shameless plug, I have another podcast with the beautiful, gorgeous Megan Winkler. It is called Two Witches Talking, and you can find it on Spotify. You can also find it on, I think, the Apple, whatever the Apple podcast stuff. Look, I'm an Android person. I don't know anything about Apple, but I know you can find it there. And then on my YouTube channel, so Ink Goddess Creations on YouTube, there's like the Busy, Gritty, Inked and Witchy podcast, and then there's Two Witches Talking. So those are all the places you can find it. We're also on Patreon. We have all kinds of things. Anyway, there's only 3-4 episodes out at this point. So anyway, episode 2 of Two Witches Talking was our witchy origin stories. And I was listening to that episode this morning while I was on my walk. And both Megan and I talk about the moment that we found paganism or witchcraft, some aspect of it, we both felt at home. And that is what today's episode is going to be about. I want to talk about witchy homes. So sorry, this is not like my physical home. I'm not taking you on a tour of it, although I would say my home energetically is very witchy. Aesthetically, it's not. Because I have to like compromise on decor with my non-witchy husband. So that's what today's episode is going to be about. I'm going to talk about witchy homes. I'm going to talk about what I believe witchy homes are, what my witchy home, like some different aspects of my witchy home, and then how you can find yours. So for this concept of your witchy home, I would say it's not a singular place. It's not a singular thing. Okay, when you are thinking about your witchy home, you are thinking about all of the different things that you can pull together that make you feel at home, and they make you feel witchy as fuck. Okay, so these could be things, these can be places, these can be deities, these can be practices, and I started talking, I talked last week in last week's episode, which was grounding in truth. I talked about how to re-regulate your nervous system by going into, like, when you're feeling in a funk or when you're feeling frazzled, you can sit there and focus on your truths, like things about yourself that you know to be 100% true, things about yourself and your life. That helps ground your energy down into the truth of you. Okay. So basically this concept, which let me tell you, I don't know if I made this concept up. I have not Googled. I have not, I don't know. Okay. But I'm going to be calling it your witchy home. And this concept is kind of like an extension of the grounding in your truth, but we're taking it to like a witchy level. Okay. So it goes into like a spiritual standpoint. So your witchy home consists of beliefs, practices, places, and concepts that just feel right to you. Okay. So I'm calling it your witchy home. You could call it, your witchy belief system, your witchy persona, your witchy whatever. Okay. But it was the statement, or it was the realization after listening to this episode of Two Witches Talking, where I said something about, as soon as I read, this book, I felt at home. And then Megan told her story, and she was talking about, oh, as soon as I looked into this, I felt at home. And that's when I realized that being a witch, there is something, I think, that all of us have found that there is home-like about it. Like the minute that you find a concept or a practice, or you hear about a deity, or you hear about a belief system, like the Norse belief system or the Celtic, there's something like a puzzle piece that snaps into place in you. And you're like, oh my God, that feels right. That just feels amazing. And that's what I'm talking about today. That is your witchy home. Okay. When you hear it, see it, do it, whatever, something inside of you exhales and is immediately comforted in the feeling of being home. Okay, so that's why I'm saying your witchy home is not just one thing. Your witchy home is made up of so many different things, just like your actual home is. Okay, your actual home, whether it's an apartment, a house, anything, there's a structure, but there's also things in it that are yours, that you have surrounded yourself with, that reflect who you are. And that's what we're going for as far as your witchiness. Your witchy home is the same thing. There's going to be a structure, which is you, and that's going to be your beliefs. Okay. So you have your beliefs that are going to build a structure. And then you're going to fill it with things. You're going to fill it with practices. You're going to fill it with deities. You're going to fill it with all these little things that are all you. They all make you feel witchy as fuck. And all of that together creates your witchy home. Okay. For me, this home feeling, first came like the first time that I truly can pinpoint. And let me tell you, there's probably, like, I remember being that kid. I loved forts. I loved building forts, like outside. I would get some pretty sophisticated forts. And so I loved, in my fort, making little like mud potions and shit. Yeah. But if we were to talk about, like when I think about the concept of my witchy home, there is a certain feeling that evokes from me. Okay. Or invokes in me. Evoke and invoke are very fun words. Okay. And I know one is in, one is out, because E means out in Latin. And then anyway, do y'all see just the witchy tangents my brain goes on? It's almost like I short circuit sometimes, and then my brain just, anyway. The first time I can actually, so when I think about, and this is another thing to focus on too, like we'll get to it in the future, like of this podcast episode, but like when I talk about your witchy home and the feelings, like there's going to be a feeling, and then you can almost take that feeling and trace it back to its root. Okay. So for me, the absolute root that I can 100% say with confidence is attached to that witchy home feeling is the first time I watched The Craft. Oh my God, I was so mesmerized. So we're talking probably 1996, 1997. Seeing that movie there, I was just, there was something about it. I was like, is this real? Oh my God, this is real. If this is real, I'm here. Where do I sign up? Where do I go? There was just something comforting about that movie. There was something, living in a small rural town in Virginia, which is technically the Bible Belt, and just becoming a teenager and looking for answers in the Bible. It just didn't. There was a disconnect there. And then I see the Craft movie and I'm like, I know this is Hollywood, but if there are aspects of this that are real, I'm there. I'm done. This is me. So that was the first time. Then the next time, like I can actually, you follow this feeling down to the root. And this is a practice that you do during shadow working, is like when you're triggered by something, you follow the trigger down to its root. And you'll find timelines, like you'll find places in a timeline where it's almost like stops on that shadow of like where it was triggered again and again. You can do the same thing with pleasant. memories or pleasant feelings as well. It doesn't always have to be, like shadows that you're traveling to the root of. So you take this feeling of being in your witchy home and you travel backwards inside of yourself. And watching the Craft movie has to be the first time. The next time, moving forward on my timeline, it's about a year later when I first read Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner by Scott Cunningham, which is what I make reference to in the Two Witches Talking podcast episode. All right, let me flip my notebook. Okay. When I read Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner, it was just like another puzzle piece snapped into place for me. Then fast forward a little bit, like we're traveling down that, or we're traveling forward in time, through that thread of that witchy home feeling. We were getting ready to leave for England, and I found this gorgeous goddess necklace. The figure is the goddess drawing down the moon, and so she's got her hands up, and it's this feminine form, and it holds a rainbow moonstone. I think I've talked about that necklace in several podcast episodes. But I found it, and that was it. I was like, oh my God, that is the most gorgeous piece of jewelry I've ever seen in my life. I have to have it. It has to be mine. I still have it to this day. I do wear it most days, especially if I want to connect to my roots and who I am at my core. I just happen to be on this is a beautiful orgonite necklace that I found at the gym show many moons ago. And I've been feeling I'm working with some orgonite energy lately. So this is the one I've been wearing a lot. But normally I do wear it. And then the next, traveling on this memory lane, this witchy vibe, when we got to England, and we got the house unpacked and we were there for a little while, I started looking into witchy groups in England. I found the moot that I was a part of, and I saw that happening the next day. They were having a gathering literally 1 block from me at someone's house. And I was like, oh my God, are you serious? So huge turn of events. I was not actually going to be able to go to it. I was very upset. And then our fridge broke, and Colin ended up having to come home and watch Skylar. And he came home because our fridge broke and we had to deal with that. But then he was like, well, I'm home now. I'm off work. I don't have to go back. So do you want to go to your thing? And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, did you break the fridge? And I'm like, actively, did I break the fridge? I did not. Energetically, did I break the fridge because I seriously wanted to go to this? Maybe. I don't know because I don't know anything about magic. And I was a very beginner witch learning about energy and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I got to go to this meeting. That was literally, I just walked to it because it was 1 block over from me, and sitting in that meeting surrounded by other pagans. And I think I cannot actually remember, I remember going to Natalie's house and it was just a discussion group. It was it wasn't a regular monthly meeting for the moot. It was a discussion group. And to be honest, I cannot remember if that was the Celtic deities talk that somebody was doing at Natalie's house, or if it was, I can't remember the exact scenario, because those kind of, we had a lot of meetings at Natalie's, and I was very grateful for that because she literally lived behind me. And I could walk there. So I don't know what it was specifically that night, but I just remember sitting there in her living room, drinking a cup of tea, surrounded by British people, British pagans, and being like, oh my God, I'm home. You can see the emotion for those of you watching. That's also the feeling of home, by the way, this reaction right here. Especially if you're watching, if you can hear it, you probably hear the little tremble in my voice. This is the reaction of having that feeling of being home. Okay. The largest piece for me, I will never forget, is standing at the Glastonbury tour. Glastonbury, England is known, or is thought to be where Avalon was back in the day. And at the time, we were getting ready to leave England, and my son was somewhere around 5 or 6 months old. I had him strapped to me in a baby carrier. And if you have ever been to Glastonbury, and you have ever made the trek up the tour, It is this huge hill that is like a winding, it's supposed to be like a walking labyrinth, but you are literally like going up and back and forth on this path that leads very slowly up to the top of the tour, where there's a huge ruin of an old church that was up there at one point. And you're weaving, and it's supposed to be very meditative, and like, it's a trek, And so here I am carrying a 5 or 6 month old child on me who's passed out. So just complete dead weight. And I get to the top of it, and so many people up there were like, did you just make this trek with this child attached to you? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh my God, you're Wonder Woman. And I'm like, I wasn't out of breath. I was nothing, because I was home. And at that moment, Colin snapped a picture of me, and he has said to this day that it's one of his favorite pictures of me, because just the absolute bliss on my face. And if I can remember, I will share it on Instagram. When this episode comes out, I will share it on Instagram for you all to see, because there's just a look of pure bliss on my face. And you can see Gabe is like asleep. My son is asleep, like passed out on me in this baby carrier. But that is the biggest point, when I was like, I'm home. And we went to the Chalice Wall Gardens after that. And I did not want to leave Glastonbury at all. I knew that there was a part of me that was awakened when we were there. And I was like, I've been here before. This is my spiritual home. This is who I am at my core. And I want to go back. Okay. So of course from then, because that would have been 2006. Okay. That would have been, 2005. My son was born in 2004. So this would have been 2005. Of course, since then, I have had numerous other puzzle pieces fall into place that form my witchy home. And instead of going through like traveling, down that witchy vibe, that witchy home memory thread, energetic thread, I can just kind of let you know, because your witchy home will change just like your home changes. Just like, one day you wake up and you're like, I'm going to paint a wall purple. Or whatever, I'm going to go buy a new chair. I want to put a new rug in here. I want to change the pictures up. Just like you do that in your actual home, you're going to do that in your witchy home as well. You're not going to have the exact same beliefs 20 years from now that you do today. And you're not going to have the same beliefs that you did at the beginning of your witchcraft journey that you do today. So things evolve with you. And that's the beautifulness. That's the beauty of your witchy home, is you definitely 100% make it you every step of your way, So for reference, like when I actually meditate, and I want to say I have done an internal sacred spaces episode here on the podcast, but then again, I don't know if I have. I know that there is an internal sacred spaces class in my Ink Spirit Coven, where I take members on a guided meditation to their internal sacred space. This is very similar to that, but my internal sacred space, my witchy home is a cave in Avalon. So when I meditate, I do go to this cave. And let me tell you, this cave has looked this way for many years until this year. And I've been telling you all so much that I've been going through so many transformations, and especially with the introduction of dark divine feminine energy, my witchy cave this year, just recently, I was doing a lesson for my Avalon studies, and there's a meditation that accompanies every lesson. And I went into my cave like normal, and it looked completely different. And it had been a while since I had meditated. I've, told you all last week, I've been in a bit of a funk lately. So it had been a while since I had meditated and been to my sacred space, which is this cave in Avalon. It had changed dramatically. In fact, if I had not been led, like I was led to it by my guide, and if I had not been led to it, I would have been like, where are we? And it was the fact that she led me there and she was like, this is your cave. This is your sacred spot. I'm like, what? This looks totally different. It had transformed. And I think that is so beautiful because it's a reflection of my journey and the fact that my journey is always transforming and always evolving as well, my spiritual journey. So, that is my sacred space, my inner sacred space. That is my witchy home. As far as like internally, okay, is a cave in Avalon I travel to when I meditate. Other pieces of my witchy home as a whole. Okay, so even my cave in Avalon is just one part of my witchy home. Okay, that's like my witchy safe space. Other pieces that make up my witchy home at the moment. Okay. I love sitting in silence. This is actually a practice I do to connect with Morgan Le Fay. I set a timer for 9 minutes and sit in complete silence. And I don't sit to center or go anywhere or do anything. I just open myself up, protect, of course, and then open myself up to messages, or I just listen to little different sounds and sense energy around me. It's a way of attuning myself to my surroundings, to energetic shifts that are happening around me, within me, above me, below me, everything. Okay. Morgan Le Fay has become a huge piece of my witchy home. Honoring her, learning about her. Mary Magdalene has become a big piece very recently. She had been reaching out to me little by little, like in little notions for years. And I guess it was a couple of years ago, I started to actually pick up on them, but I was like, this is weird. I think I've talked about this in the podcast too. I was like, this is weird. She's a Christian deity. I don't really know how to feel about that. So I think I fought it for a while. And then it's just been within the last year that I've been like, okay. And then especially within the last couple of months, working with Dark Divine Feminine Energy, which is the next like little witchy piece of my home right now, is Dark Divine Feminine Energy. Another practice or a practice that makes up my witchy home is candle whispering. I know I've done a candle magic podcast episode. I don't know if I talk about candle whispering. I know I 100% talk about it in the candle magic lesson in the Ink Spirit Coven. But I don't know if I talk about it in the actual, it's just where you get, like, you light a candle, and you get very close to the flame and you whisper your intentions into the flame so that it moves, but it doesn't blow the candle out. And I love doing that. It makes me feel witchy as shit. And then another part of my witchy home, I burn shit to release it. That is a practice of mine that makes me feel witchy as fuck too. Yeah. That's my favorite way to release stuff, is to set it on fire. And look at me trying to censor myself immediately. Like, for those who are watching on YouTube, you saw me start to say something and then immediately censor myself and be like, I can't say that. And you know what? I fucking can say it because this is my podcast and who gives a shit? I was getting ready to say, oh, I don't set actual items on fire when I need to release them. Oh no, I fucking set actual items on fire. Fun tangent. When Colin and I were separated for like 3 years, I dated this horrible, horrible person. And he cheated on me a lot. By the time I finally found out that he had cheated on me and pieced it together, had been a lot of people. So I literally, like, the day that I came in to move all of my shit out of the house, I took these sheets. They were my favorite sheets. I took them. He had a burn barrel outside. I took the sheets to the burn barrel, doused them in lighter fluid, and set those bitches on fire right in front of him. Because I could. And because I was releasing that shit. So, do I light shit on fire to release? I do 100%. I will burn anything down almost. I won't burn houses down. I won't burn cars. But objects to release shit, 100%. I'll set everything on fire. I love it. But on a smaller scale and less pyromaniac scale, and less psycho scale possibly, I will write down things I want to release and then burn them in a cauldron. That's a great way for me to release things. And then teaching about witchcraft. I know it sounds so cheesy, but it is. It makes me come alive. And that's sharing my story too, like here on the podcast, is my form of teaching. I teach through experience. And that's something, I've come to realize about myself in the last year. And so teaching about witchcraft, teaching about witchy concepts, sharing my story through the eyes of teaching, is something that just absolutely brings me alive, makes me feel so witchy. And it's something that is a very large part of my witchy home, and another puzzle piece that fits in there just beautifully. These things, and this is just a small list, absolutely small list, okay? But when these things came into my life or were presented to me, it was like an instant snap into place. It feels right. It feels like home. Other aspects, because like I said before, your witchy home can be practices, like burning shit or candle whispering. They can be deities like Morgan Le Fay, and Mary Magdalene. And let me tell you, Bridget and Rhiannon are still those are my first two goddesses that I still work with to this day. I still resonate with. Morgan Le Fay and Mary Magdalene are just newer to me. But Rhiannon and Bridget still have a place on my altar. But there are practices, there are concepts, there are beliefs, there are deities. There are also things, okay, that when you work with them or when you incorporate them into your spell work or into your practice, they just bring you alive. They make you feel alive. For me, Morganite, definitely one of them. And of course, look, I have to take my bracelets off to write, because I don't like the pressure of them on my wrist when I'm writing. And of course, I forget to put it on before I record. But I have a Morganite bracelet I wear every day. Fluorite, another one. Labradorite, especially purple labradorite. Love it. Merlinite, which actually, for those of you who are watching, I generally do wear my Merlinite ring every day. My Moldavite ring gets play. That finger, I go between Moldavite and Libyan desert glass. And then I want to say, I think I talked about it in the Patreon bonus content from last week, the ring. I think I showed it though, but there's a ring that I bought at the gym show. I don't even truly know what it is, but I wear it every day. I've even worn that bad boy to bed at night, like just completely forgotten about it. Scrying points. I love a scrying point. Basically, a scrying point is just, it's a gemstone that they carve the top into a point and the bottom's raw. Oh, I have them everywhere. I have them everywhere around the shop. I have one on my desk at home. I have one at my desk here. I have one in the living room randomly. I have a couple. I have in my living room. I love a good scrying point. Raw at the bottom, on top. I can get lost in those for hours. And then at the gym show this year, there was a smoky quartz celestial skull. So they had taken a smoky quartz celestial point and carved a skull in the front of it. And I purchased it knowing full well it would not make it to a live gemstone sale. Even though my husband was like, oh, what did you find? And I'm like, a smoky quartz celestial skull. And he's like, oh, that's a good find for the live gem sales. And I'm like, uh-huh. And it went right on my desk when we unpacked it, because I love our customers and I buy you all amazing things. But every now and then there's something I find at the gym show that I'm like, oh, that's mine. That's mine. So my husband still is like, so is it just have a home on your desk for right now and then we're going to put it in a live sale? And I'm like, if that's what you want to think, honey, sure. It's not going anywhere. It's mine. I talked to him. He's amazing. So yeah, super drawn to him. Tarot for me, the tarot practice feels like home again. Now that I read weekly in my Patreon, it's my second tier of my Patreon. It did not feel like home for a very long time. And I'm still at a point where, reading for other people, still have not done in a while, but like doing the general readings on Patreon for the week coming up, the energetic readings. I love doing it. And I love meditating with tarot cards again. Like I'm kind of re-immersing myself in the world of tarot all over again. So those are just some things, some practices, some deities, some places. I've thrown it all in there that encompass my witchy home. When you are forming your witchy home, what comes to mind? What places make you feel witchy as fuck? What deities? What practices? What objects? What just brings you so much witchy comfort? What feels like a puzzle piece falling into place? These are things that make you feel like you have found your witchy home. And these are things that you can pull together to make your witchy home. So what are those things for you? Yeah, that's what I have for you all today. You can definitely hit me up on Instagram, which there'll be a link in the show notes, but it's Ink Goddess Creations. And let me know, what makes up your witchy home. For the Patreon bonus this week, I actually have a short visualization for everyone, to help members picture their witchy home. So they will be able to, it's not going to have I guess it's a guided meditation, but because it's so short, I like to call those visualizations anyway. It's not going to have all the sound effects and everything. So if your Ink Spirit members are like, oh, one of Morgan's guided meditations with all the sound effects, this one is like super short. It's like 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how long I draw out some of the spaces. But that's what I'm going to be recording for the Patreon bonus, is that short visualization to help members picture their witchy home. So that is included with this bottom tier of the paid Patreon. My Patreon is at patreon.com/inkedgoddesscreations. The bottom tier is the podcast tier. It's only $5 a month. It gets you the bonus content and a shout out on my podcast. So I want to say a huge thank you to Amanda, my newest paid Patreon member. The next tier up is $9 a month. It's the Prophecy Portal. That's going to get you the podcast tier plus a weekly energetic reading. I do tarot cards. And then the top tier is $13 a month. It is magical manuscripts. It gets you the first 2 tiers as well as some PDFs when I put them together. Yeah, it's been a crazy month. So I'm still working on some for those. So patreon.com/inkgoddesscreations. But definitely hit me up in YouTube in the comments. Let me know what things make up your witchy home, or you can find the little soundbite reels that goes up on Wednesdays on my Instagram, which is at Ink Goddess Creations as well, and let me know there. So I want to thank you all for being here, for being a listener, for giving me a place to share my story, to teach, and to just be myself. And definitely thank you. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff so that this podcast can find other magically curious people. Thank you for being here, and I will see you all next week. Bye. If you're looking for a magical community where you can just be yourself, check out my Ink Spirit Coven. The Coven is an online learning circle for eclectic witches who want to learn new witchcraft practices and how to easily incorporate magic into their daily lives, all while being supported on their personal spiritual journey. And you'll have me as your magical mentor, sharing my knowledge, answering questions, and facilitating the online community. Head to inkspirit.com to learn more and join. And if unique witchcraft supplies made by witches for witches is just what you need, head to my store, inkgoddesscreations.com, to see what we have to enhance your magical practice. We also have the Ink Goddess Creations box, a monthly subscription of magic mail filled with exclusive items that fit a magical theme. Head to the site to see this month's theme and sneak peeks.